Welcome, intro. Okay, so let's talk about angles, part the second. So before we get into this, let's go over some of the rules that we talked about yesterday, right? So we've got adjacent angles, right? And we had said that a good way to remember that is adjacent is next door neighbors. Okay, so angles that are next door to each other. We talked about vertical angles. And vertical angles are across the street neighbors, so they'd have to cross over a line or an intersection. So we'll put here across the street. Okay. And then the last one we talked about was congruent. Congruent. Okay, Mr. D. Good. Congruent angles have the same measurement. They're exactly the same measurement. Okay, so same measure. Now, we also mentioned that vertical angles, by definition, were always congruent because if they're across the street, they're going to have the same measurement. So all vertical angles are congruent. Not all congruent angles are vertical, right? So craziness going on right there. But make sure you remember that. Now, just let's play with these three for a second. On these top four angles, the angles that are adjacent to angle 1 are angle 2 and angle 4 because they're next door to angle 1. But angle 3 doesn't share that adjacent relationship. The relationship that 1 and 3 have is vertical because they are across the street from each other. So they're really kind of crossing over this big intersection here, okay? Next door, vertical, okay? Good. And by definition, but vertical, 1 and 3, they're congruent. Now, geometry's kind of cool like that, right? So you can check it out. Angle 1 is obtuse, right, because it's greater than 90 degrees. Angle 3 is also obtuse because that is also greater than 90 degrees. But check them out. They look like they're the same measurement, right? If you were to cut that one and kind of lay it over top of the other one, it would look exactly the same because it is. It's the exact same measurement. Same goes with 2 and 4. They're both acute angles, right? They're not really that cute right now, but they're acute angles because they're less than 90 degrees. I was lame, I know, I'm sorry. But they're the same measurement because they're vertical angles. So by definition, they are also congruent. Okay, moving on. 4 new things we're going to go through today. These lines, the ones that I'm going to mark with these two arrows mean that they're parallel. Parallel lines never ever cross. So these two lines will never cross each other at all. Now, this line that's going through both parallel lines, we call that a transversal. Okay, so this is going to be an important part of this unit. This line, it cuts parallel lines in different sections. Now, that line has a lot of special properties that comes with it, and we're going to do a couple of them now. The first one is alternate interior angles. So let's break this down a little bit. Interior means inside, right? So the interior of your house, right? Interior decorator, like someone who's going to do some things inside the house. There's parallel lines. So there's an inside section, which is where my hand is, and there are outside sections. So first of all, we're going to identify angles that are in here. Alternate, right? So it means that they're not on the same pattern. They're not on the same side. They're alternating sides, okay? So angle 3 is interior, and it's alternating with angle 5. So angle 3 and angle 5 are alternate interior angles. So let's do this. I'm going to go right over here. So I'm going to go angle 3 and angle 5 are alternate interior angles. Now there's another set of alternate interior angles here. Can you name them? Good. 4 and 6. They are also alternate interior angles. Now, the special relationship that they have is take a look at angle 3 and take a look at angle 5. They're both obtuse angles, and they kind of look like they're the same measurement. That's because they are. Alternate interior angles are congruent, which means they have the same measurement. So you'll be able to understand that. So if I gave you, I don't know, angle 3 was 108 degrees as its measurement, angle 5 would also be 108 degrees, okay? And we'll do that later in class on Friday. Alternate exterior angles. So this is the second thing. Alternate exterior angles. Exterior is outside the house, right? So exterior design, exterior decorator, things like that. I don't know if that exists actually, but whoever, whatever. Exterior is the outsides of the parallel lines. Now, we still know that alternate rule. Alternate means they're not on the same side, so they're on opposite sides. So let's take angle 1, because that's exterior. It's outside of the parallel lines. Can you identify which of the other two angles on the bottom would be its alternate exterior? Well, good. It's number 7. Awesome. They are alternating exterior. And the alternating part is, this is the transversal line. So if angle 1 is on the left side of it, Alternate means that the other angle, or its pair, needs to be on the right side of it. So they would be on one side and the other of the transversal. So that's what alternate really means in this context. Can you name the other pair of alternate exterior angles? Somebody said it, I think. It's going to be angle 2 and angle 8. Now, take a look at that relationship. I'm just going to do one of them over here. Well, let's take a look at 1 and 7. They're both obtuse angles, and they look like they're the same measurement. It's because they are. The rule is alternate exterior angles, they also have the same measurement. And by definition, 2 and 8 also are congruent. They're the same measurement. And 2 and 8 are acute angles. Okay, not bad. All right, now, corresponding angles. This one's a little bit more challenging. Corresponding angles. There's going to be an angle that's on the outside, so the exterior, and there's going to be an angle, or its pair, is going to be on the inside. So for instance, let's go with angle 1 again. Its corresponding pair is actually angle 5. Now, basically, when you think of corresponding, I want you to think of levels. Right? So if this was levels in like a video game or something, this would be the bottom level, this parallel line would be the bottom, and this parallel line would be the top. You want to get an angle on one on each level. So 1 is on this level, 5 is on this level. Now, there's a relationship with this too. Both of these are obtuse angles, and they look like they're the same measurement. That's because this transversal is cutting them to make it look like it, and it is. They are the same angle measurement. So corresponding angles are also congruent. So 1 and 5 is corresponding. 2 and 6 are corresponding. 4 and 8 are corresponding. And 3 and 7 are corresponding. So this one's a little bit more challenging, but think of levels. If you get one angle on the first level or the second level, you need its opposite pair on the other side or other level. Okay? And they're also congruent, so we'll just go over here. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. Consecutive angles. Okay. So consecutive angles, definitely the hardest one to remember. And maybe not. Consecutive angles are two angles that are on kind of the same line, and when you put them together, they equal 180. So think about like supplementary lines, right? Supplementary angles. When you add them together, they equal 180. 4 and 5 are consecutive. So consecutive is in order. Remember how we did that in Unit 1 where it was like find the sum of 3 consecutive numbers and that's 52 or whatever? Same kind of idea. Consecutive means one right after the other. These are right next to each other, right? Regardless of the number that they are, but they're right next to each other. Now, if I were to piece these together, I'm going to do my best here. That's an acute angle, and that's an obtuse angle. But the line that they share is a straight angle, which is 180 degrees. They put together nicely because if I were to cut them, they're going to be equal to 180 when I add them together. So they add up to 180. They're not the same measurement, because they clearly can't be, because one's acute and one's obtuse, but they add up to be 180 degrees. Okay? So I'm going to go here, angle 4 and angle 5. I know the video is long, sorry about that, but this is in-depth stuff here. So take a look at this. You definitely want to re-watch this and pause it and rewind and stuff like that. I won't mind, I promise. But try to get this done. Test is on Tuesday, so we're really going to push this a little bit. Do the best you can and ask me questions. Adios.